Hello, everybody. My name is Victoria, and I am a community librarian at the Stanley Milner branch of the Edmonton Public Library. I am thrilled that you've decided to spend your evening with us today. This is Capital City in Conversation, Shopping Local. Very excited to have Karen and Nolan here with us. I will let them introduce themselves. I'm going to talk all about shopping local, why it's great, what we want to do about it, and then if you have any questions, you can dump them in the chat. I'll keep an eye on it. And at the end, we'll have some time for a Q&A. So we will have ample time to kind of discuss anything that comes to mind. So we'll go ahead and start with Nolan, just because you're on the left side of my screen, and that makes sense to me. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me here. So, my name is Nolan Carter. I'm a senior economic development strategist with the City of Edmonton in the Economic Investment Services branch. So, a lot of my work revolves around looking after our 10-year economic development strategy, the Economic Action Plan. And a lot of that comes down to monitoring and measuring, making sure that we're on track to meet our economic development goals, and also kind of taking a look to see if there's anything that we could do to help support those goals. And one of those projects that came out of that work was the Shop Local program. So yeah, really excited to be here today to chat about shopping local. It's one of my passions, even if my wallet doesn't like it as much sometimes. But yeah, it's very nice to be here.
Thank you so much, Nolan. Karen, could you please introduce yourself and tell us all what you do?
Sure. My name is Karen Unland. I'm one of the co-founders of Taproot Edmonton. We're a local media outlet. We publish stories, newsletters, and podcasts about what's going on in the Edmonton region. We are a locally owned small business that sells local things, and so we like it when people shop local with us. We also pay a ton of attention to local small businesses and use our means of communication to draw more attention to them, both in a kind of a story kind of way and also in an advertising kind of way. So very big on shopping local at Taproot Edmonton.
Thank you so much. Nolan, can you tell us what the City of Edmonton's Shop Local initiative is?
Of course, yeah. So at the root of the Shop Local program, it's really all about supporting our local businesses. So we have kind of three major outcomes that we're looking to achieve. First one being to assess and improve public perceptions of shopping locally. So making sure people understand why it's important to shop local versus multinational or just clicking something online, that sort of thing. Second piece is also help raise awareness of local businesses in Edmonton. So smaller local businesses typically don't have as big of advertising budget as some of their larger competitors might. So this is a great opportunity for them to latch onto that and become more on the forefront of folks who are looking to shop. And also, finally, to help increase revenue of those businesses. So we timed the campaign between September and December. That's when we've seen, the stats say consumer spending peaks. And so people are already opening their wallets. And so time it that way so that when they're opening their wallets, more of that money hopefully lands a little bit locally instead. So we kind of have two pieces to our budget. The first one being our media kits. And so that's digital and physical assets that businesses can download or have delivered. So it helps to identify them as a local business. They can get like window decals, posters. We got some tote bags and stickers as well. So really helps to bring to the forefront, like, hey, I'm a local business. Somebody's walking by a shop on White Ave and they see that decal on the window or something like that. It's a really great indicator to check that out if it's important to you. And the other part of our budget goes to a large advertising buy. And so we purchase online ads, Facebook, social media, that sort of thing, billboards as well. We do some mail outs and we also have some radio ads. And so that is kind of our mechanism to try and get a lot of our messaging out there, that it's important to shop locally, try and make that front and forefront in people's minds when they're out and about and considering where to make their next purchase, especially during the holidays. And then all the branding is connected between the shop local decals and what you might see on a billboard. So that the theory there is it kind of helps to make that connection. You have a bit of that brand recognition when you're walking around and you'll see that there's a local business there. So This is going to be our second year doing it. Last year was basically the first year of the program. We got some funding from the Northern Regional Economic Development Program that's run by the government of Alberta. So they've covered half of our budget for this awesome program. And yeah, it was great last year. We did an awesome job getting the word out there. I think we had over 14 million impressions online and about 47,000 new users directed to our edmonton.ca/shop local website. So really, really excited to see how much traction we picked up just in the first year, and looking to continue to keep that momentum going forward this year.
Excellent. I have a follow-up question, but I just want to say at any point, Karen or Nolan, if I ask someone else a question and you have thoughts, please jump in. I love to make it a conversation. But jumping off that, how excited are businesses to participate? Is there like a big groundswell? Are they like thrilled about it? What's the feeling?
Very excited. Yeah, it's been really cool. So last year we distributed I'm probably not gonna have the number right off the top of my head, but a little over 350 media kits to businesses. So we had about 60 sign up with us directly. We also worked with our business improvement areas, and they helped us to distribute media kits to a lot of their members as well. So yeah, really got the word out there. And we also got a lot of really great feedback as well. It's kind of a cool intrinsic benefit of the program. So a lot of emails coming back, messages just saying like, hey, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate that the city's doing something like that. So it's definitely felt like the feel good story for us, at least in 2024, and looking forward to that. This year, we're actually rolling out a bit of a addition to the campaign. So we're creating a shop local deals. So trying to provide incentives for people to actually go out and do some shopping as well. And so that's going to kick off as well with September, but we've started to sign businesses up just in the last week. And we already have 50 businesses signed up, ready with deals, ready to go. And yeah, it seems like there's a lot of excitement around this already. So yeah, it's looking really cool.
Wonderful.
Uh,
Go ahead, Karen.
Do you think that there's particular spike in interest just because of what's going on in the world with the sudden and aggressive protectionism that's happening to us from the South?
Yeah, I think that's definitely helped to spur on some interest with Shop Local for sure. And, business owners are definitely looking at other strategies to help kind of mitigate any impacts they might foresee coming out of that.
Hey, jumping off that, Karen, as a media outlet, you must be hearing a lot about shopping local. What are you hearing as a media outlet? What are the stories that are circulating right now?
Yeah, because what I think about Taproot is we do our own stories, but we also collect stories from elsewhere about Edmonton or pertaining to Edmonton, and so we have a pretty good bead on what people are talking about, and certainly there's a lot of interest in buying local and scrutinizing labels to see what's made in Canada, what's made in Alberta, what's made in Edmonton. Um, my husband does the shopping in our house, and he gives me, I think, like a regular report on, oh, I couldn't buy that thing because it's made in the United States. So there's definitely an interest that way as well that I'm noticing. And then just the other campaigns like the Elbows Up stickers that Andy Grabia had made that he's distributing at places like Sugared and Spiced baked goods and things like that. So I think that there's kind of a feeling of pulling together and I think refocusing on what's homegrown.
We just got a question in the chat that I think is interesting. So, what makes a business local in the City of Edmonton's Shop Local program? Like, what criteria does it have to fill? As it says here, I would consider any business that employs local folks and contributes to the Edmonton economy would be a good thing.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. And it's a debate that I think you could probably have until the end of time. Like, what is a local business? Within our team, we had about 15 of us one day just kind of go through a session of like, hey, what is your definition of a local business? And when you believe it, we had 15 different definitions at the end of that session. So it's really, really complex to be like, yes, you are local, you are not local. that's why we tried to keep it as broad as possible. It's really any business that's operating within Edmonton is what we consider local. So, it could be owned by, it could be independently owned by somebody who lives in the community. It could be a multinational, whatever. As long as they're operating within Edmonton, we want to support them through the program. And, there's also debates that range between, should we support independent businesses more versus, multinationals? The nice thing about that is it kind of takes care of itself because there's lots of those big box stores and big department stores that will have specific rules that prevent them from actually putting up like one of our shop local stickers and that sort of thing too. So rather than trying to be overly prescriptive and overthink it, you want to just kind of keep it pretty open and let businesses kind of self decide whether or not they're local. So I guess that's the long winded answer of saying the business itself who participates in the program will tell you if they're local.
We've had
Excellent. Thank you.
we've had similar kind of debates inside of Taproot for kind of different reasons. So a thing that we do typographically to indicate a local entity is we call it a bold link. So it'll show up in our publications as bright pink because Taproot is pink and bolded and linked back to that entity's website. And we reserve that for local entities. But yes, all the time we are having debates about what counts. And sometimes we had a big discussion about this earlier this year and decided that if they have a presence in Edmonton, we'll give them that bold link. So even with McDonald's or something like that. However, like Taproot mostly pays attention to independent, like that they're more likely to come up than others. And so, but yeah, it's just weird the semantic things that come up when you're trying to
Totally.
define that. And then your question, Victoria, just made me think of something else about like the buy local thing, because there are all kinds of businesses in this city, including a lot of small businesses that have like non-local products on their shelves, and we don't really want to hurt them with a boycott, right? They already bought the thing that they've already spent the money to bring it to you, and then weird things happened in the world. And so to be careful that we're not too punitive for reasons that won't the message we may be trying to send by saying I'm not going to buy those American pickles or whatever, it might not land and might hurt the wrong person.
Yeah, that's a super good point and something that we've heard as well from our partners at the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce. And yeah, like a lot of these businesses, they rely on that cash flow to get those products out. And so we need to give them that opportunity to cycle through new products. And if they're seeing their consumers want more made in Canada products or, not products from the USA, we need to give them the opportunity to have that cash flow to be able to replenish their stock with whatever's in demand at the time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Kind of jumping off that, why? Why should we shop local? Let's start big broad. What are the benefits? Anyone can jump in.
I have a textbook answer for it a little bit too, but Karen, I'm kind of curious to know what your perspective is before I jump on that one.
Well, I don't have a textbook answer, so you tell me if this is dumb, but I like the money that stays in the community has multiplier effects, right? So if you send your money out of the community, it goes there instead of staying here. If you spend it in Edmonton, then it stays in Edmonton, employs people that are in Edmonton, and helps that economy here. I would maybe an addendum before you get to your textbook thing is like we don't want only shop local, because if everybody only shop local, then Edmonton businesses wouldn't be able to sell their stuff in other cities, right? And that would have quite a damaged economy if we could only sell here. But anyway, over to you for the real answer.
Karen, I think you might actually be able to write the textbook, or perhaps you did write the one that I read here. But you're totally right. Yeah, like the money that is spent at local businesses does circulate locally a lot more. So there's a report out from the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses. I think this is from 2019, and they say for every dollar that is spent on a local business versus a multinational, 66 cents of your dollar stays locally. So that's from businesses supporting other local suppliers, from people who are employed here getting paid that money. And also, they cited that a lot of local businesses are also a bit more involved in the local community, and so they might sponsor events, they might sponsor charities that exist here. So yeah, there's quite a few factors there that helps to keep that money local. I think there's another actually there's a cool organization in BC called Loco BC, and they have another study they put out, and they actually assert that local companies produce eight and a half times more jobs and almost 8 times more revenue locally than multinationals. So it's it's a bit of a different methodology, probably a bit of a smaller sample size, but yeah, it's just interesting to see that there's a few studies out there that kind of point towards that. And yeah, this is all some information that we pulled together before we even started this to say like, hey, what is the benefit? What's the business case here before we started spending the money on the advertising and that sort of thing? So I think some other intrinsic pieces as well is, if you were to always just kind of click, shop from your couch and have it delivered to your doorstep and that sort of thing, you wouldn't have any need to go out. And so we'd lose a lot of those cool, vibrant places in the city, like White Ave or 124th Street. A lot of times people go there because they want to buy a new pair of shoes or something like that. And then while they're there, like, hey, pop into the bookstore. I need to get some lunch because I've been here forever now. And there's just so many cool things to look at. So shopping local is a little bit more just about putting money in people's pockets. It's really also about creating that community and creating that vibrant, Main Street economy that we really want to see. So I would really urge, like, that's one of the main reasons why we're doing it too, is we want people to get out of their houses and get together. After COVID, even for myself, right? Like it's so easy to be a homebody nowadays, and do a lot of things virtually and that sort of thing. And so it's a great reason to leave your house and, see your neighbors or, run into other people you might know and that sort of thing.
That is a great opener for a question that I had further down on my list as what do we lose as a community if we choose to shop exclusively through big business or online is kind of what you brought up. Outside of these these opportunities to be outside with our communities, what are we losing when we don't feed into our own economies and our own homes?
Well, I think those local independent businesses often bring something unique or unusual. Like a big multinational business has to kind of play to the lowest common denominators so that they can maximize their profits across every market that they're in, where we can have some more Edmonton-ness in the local folks. So I think it just brings a bit of a different flavor. It also gives visitors something unusual. Like if you travel from somewhere else to Edmonton and the only place to eat is chain restaurants that are the same as you could go to in your home city, what's the point, right? We want to give people unusual experiences and take advantage of the creativity and ingenuity of like the people that live here.
Yeah, that's really, really good points, Karen. I would add too that shopping at a big business or multinational business isn't necessarily bad. I think we're really, really important to make that distinction. I think what you need is a good balance between, those large multinationals and the smaller businesses. So a lot of our retail areas, you do need one of those big players there as like an anchor tenant to help attract other people to the area, just because they have that much more of a draw and that much more brand recognition. So they actually help other smaller independent businesses that are nearby because they drive a lot of foot traffic there. And so, you might be going to like West Edmonton Mall to go to Simon's or something like that. And then you might walk by, 3 or 4 independently owned businesses on your way there. You might not have discovered otherwise. They also signal too that there's confidence in that market as well, and so that actually would make it easier for an independent business to either get financing or to actually make that decision to locate in that same area. So, do want to caution that they do play an important role, having those big multinational businesses, and we need a good mix of both. But you definitely don't want to become unbalanced and have too much of one or the other. Um, Even for online shopping too, I'll make a plug for them because they do employ people locally for deliveries. You need local businesses like mechanic shops and that sort of thing to service the vehicles they use for deliveries as well. And they also need to buy, their equipment, and they contribute to the non-residential tax base too. So there are some very important benefits that these large multinationals or delivery companies and that sort of thing bring to the city, but exactly to Karen's point, they don't bring that uniqueness, that that Edmonton-ness of those unique independent businesses and the things that really make you feel like this is a cool place to check out. Like we've got a lot of really unique main streets. We talk about a lot about White Ave, but we have like Alberta Ave, for example, too, is one that people don't usually talk about as much, but you really should go check it out because they're doing so many cool things up there and have a lot of really unique independently owned businesses as well. So we've got plenty of others. I hope I'm not insulting anybody by keeping anybody out there. But yeah, I'll keep my answer short for that.
Thank you. I do appreciate that information. Actually, it's true that everything's very interconnected. It feels like large spider web of things being brought together, and every piece is kind of holding it all up. Um, when I think of shopping local, I think of circular economies. So could either of you kind of speak to what that means? It's just the first thing that I think of when I think shopping local, it's like a buzzword that pops into my head. I go, circular economies. But I'd love to just like, what does that mean? What does that entail?
Yeah, I think a lot of times that means that you have uh, businesses or organizations whose outputs are somebody else's inputs, and that all happens locally. And so when you think about local businesses, I think I mentioned it earlier, they're probably more likely to have local suppliers because the larger chains, that sort of thing, they're going to have larger contracts and be sourcing larger volumes of products through probably other multinational suppliers as well. So that is definitely one benefit. And so you'll see a lot of like the local supply chains strengthened when you have more local businesses kind of closely knit that way. Another part of the circular economy too is secondhand stores and that sort of thing. So folks giving new life to things that they've used for a while that still have some use. So they intercept a lot of products that might end up in a landfill or something like that and keep them going and kind of breathe new life into them. So those are also important to have, and they wouldn't exist unless people went out and shop locally because those inventories aren't feasible to put online, right? Like, I don't know, I've got two young kids and we go to Once Upon a Child all the time. There's no way they're putting all that stuff on a website and cataloging it all and having a mechanism to deliver it to your house. And so it does take someone leaving their house and visiting in person to check it out.
I think that's a really interesting, almost a case study is this the sustainable fashion community in Edmonton is actually growing and interconnected and has and you can watch the sort of multiplier effects or the benefits of having kind of a cluster of people that are interested in that kind of same thing. And that's part of what makes a circular economy work is like people that are helping each other, whether it be blenders garments, which like is founded on the idea that they don't want any textiles to end up in a landfill either here or overseas. And so what can they do to make that material have as much of a new life as possible? I'm wearing a local artisan's creation. It's like a long coat by a fashion or an artist name. I can't remember what her name is, but her business is called Awry Fashion. I got this at Bonnie Doon Mall during the part of the Walk of Artists Artist Walk. Anyway, it was a cool thing. And this is actually made out of old curtains that she found in a thrift store in Drumheller. And so there's only 3 coats like this in the whole world because that's how much cloth there was in the curtains. And it's like that's the kind of thing that you can only buy, at a kind of business like that. And then I think of also in that realm things like Unbelts, which is run by Claire Thieker Brown, which started in China when she lived in China. When she came back to Edmonton, she kept her supply chain in China because she was doing it sustainably and employing women in a fair trade kind of way. And then COVID changed everything about her supply chain, and now she's moved almost everything back to Canada and is helping to build a whole sustainable fashion reuse and accessible kind of thing. Not only does she sell very nice stretchy belts, but they do denim repairs now so that they can lengthen the life of your jeans and your jean jackets. And so that kind of thing is like it's something that kind of happens. It might not even be visible if you're zooming out from like a kind of global economy kind of way, but then you zoom in and you can see all those people that are employed, all those people who have clothes that last longer, all those people that are um, kind of helping each other build business and community and all those good things.
Yeah, Karen, I love that you mentioned Art Walk. I'm going to point this way. This picture right here is one that we got on the Art Walk a number of years back from a local photographer, and it's you can't see it, but it's a high level bridge at sunset. It's one of my favorite pictures, and yeah, not something you'd ever find online or at a big box shop for sure. So it's really cool.
Love the connection to environmental impact and sustainability. That's something that's very dear to my heart. And I think about that kind of through a number of things that we've talked about, even just Nolan talking about physically leaving your house. And it's like, oh, well, you're probably walking from store to store. You may have driven there and you've parked, but you're not driving from each little storefront. You're walking through it physically. You're spending time with people. I'm really resisting the urge to stand up and show off my outfit, which is completely thrifted. So,
Thanks.
you're welcome that I'm resisting the urge. But that being able to put money into the community that way and kind of gain fresh, beautiful things that we do kind of throw out almost too quickly now because access is so easy. Um, yeah, you completely answered my how local shopping local ties into being environmentally conscious, and I love that. I love that it came up naturally. So thank you for that. We touched on this very briefly when you introduced yourself earlier, Nolan, but when I think of what's preventing me from shopping locally, the 3 things I think of are cost, ease, and inability to get certain items. So I kind of want to touch on those because I think it's great to like have a plan for yourself and try to like you're avoiding certain things maybe or you're really trying to focus locally, but it's not always super feasible. So I'll start with cost. Cost is a huge factor in any purchasing decision, kind of no matter who you are. Um, is shopping locally always more expensive?
I never like to deal in definite, so I wouldn't ever say always. I think it really depends on what you're after. So, when you consider if we had like iPads or smartphones manufactured locally, they would probably be a lot more expensive. But you can get a lot of really awesome food products and that sort of thing that are locally produced that probably won't cost much more than where else you can get them. I will say that likely on average, you're probably going to have a bit of a local premium to local products, and it's not really avoidable, mainly because when you consider where your product's coming from, wages in Canada and especially in Alberta are typically higher, and so you have to pay people more to make the thing that you're having. Whoops, my camera disappeared there. Sorry about that. You'd think after like this many years of There we go. Of doing virtual meetings and stuff. We have this down pat, but sorry about that. Yeah, so I think it really depends on the product. Depends on what you're getting, who's making it, and where it's coming from. But I think for the most part, you could probably expect to have a bit of a local premium on those products for sure.
Yeah, I think that's like a really interesting point about the wages and everything. It's like how much something costs is not fully captured by the price tag. And so if something is cheaper to buy because it's made by people who are getting paid $1 a day as opposed to people who are getting paid $25 an hour here, um, you're kind of externalizing the cost, right? By making that choice. And so I think it's something to keep in mind. Like I know that we want to and need to pay attention to our own pocketbooks, but there are other costs that are maybe not captured in the amount of money that you're paying, that you're going to pay in a different way. Same with some environmentally more sustainable things. They tend sometimes are more expensive, but if they are making less of a dent in the overall health of the planet, it's like maybe there it makes sense for you to absorb that extra 50 cents as opposed to externalizing that elsewhere. Certainly you see it in clothing a lot. If you can buy, I don't know, a t-shirt on Temu or Shein or whatever for $4, like there's a cost that is not captured in the price of that. And so something to keep in mind. Plus the whole idea of like that wages that are paid here get spent here and help us in general.
Yeah, that's a super good point, Karen. And even quality as well is another thing you consider too, right? If you're buying a $4 Temu shirt, how long is that going to last you versus buying something that was manufactured here, maybe to a higher standard quality? There's also, other ways you can get around that cost, and shopping locally, sometimes you have to be a bit more creative. And so a good example of that is like my family, we've been purchasing from the Riverbend Gardens. They have like a CSA, so we get like a bounty of vegetables every couple of weeks. And, we have to head over to like Bonton Bakery to pick it up. They have pickup locations throughout the city and that sort of thing. And at the end of the day, we're probably paying relatively similar prices for the vegetables we get anyways, but they're so much fresher. Like they were just picked that morning, and it just takes a little bit more of our time to kind of go out to pick it up. And so, you kind of look at it in a few different ways. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because yeah, there's more than just the ticket price. There's a few other considerations there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. The one that comes to mind for me is the one that you brought up, Karen, about clothes and how wages aren't as high everywhere else, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I want people to be paid for the work that they do, and that is going into this beautiful product that I get to take home with me and keep, and ideally, as Nolan said, keep for even longer. I really like the idea of part of the Shop Local initiative might be that every individual consumer is um, like picking something up a little bit, like we're all holding it up together. So maybe there's a little bit more cost or a little bit more time or a little bit more effort. But it's because of that community space and that community mentality that we're all like holding it up together. Not to get too cheesy about it. Um, I did get a question in the chat, but what is the best way to find out about local businesses? Is there a directory? So I wonder, Nolan, if the city shop local initiative has a large directory.
Uh, Definition, I guess you can define large, but we have, like I mentioned, we'll have 50 businesses right now that are signed up. And so when that goes live, 100% go check that out, because you'll see all the local businesses that we have local deals with. This is awesome. I'm going to make another plug about another program that I run. So we also run our Edmonton Business Census. And so every year we hire a small army of summer students, and they get set forth throughout the city. We track mainly businesses in commercial locations, but we do ask them if they're locally owned or if they're multinational or government, nonprofit, that sort of thing. So anybody can access that data. It's on the open data portal. Data nerds rejoice. I love that kind of stuff, and so you can actually go in there and filter businesses, whether or not they've identified as local, and it's up to them if they want to answer the question as well. It's not a mandatory question, so we won't have it for everybody. But yeah, if you're looking for, say a shoe store that's locally owned, you can actually sort by that because we also have industry codes down to the 6-digit North American industry classification system, which is kind of nerdy, but it's pretty straightforward. If you're looking for shoes, you can just put that in the search bar and pop it up that way. So definitely check that out. I'll also put a plug in for our business improvement areas. So I mentioned them earlier. So business improvement areas are groups of businesses that come together and say, hey, we want to put our money together towards collective good for this stretch of businesses in this area. And all of those BIAs, business improvement areas, they have business directories on their website that also show you who businesses are and that sort of thing. So if you want to shop local in a sense of, they exist in our city and they're part of a really vibrant main street, 100% you can check those out too. And they're scattered throughout the city. So I'm sure you can find some businesses that are close by to you.
We got a question about whether you'd be posting the links. And what I'm going to say is Nolan can send me the links afterwards and I'll send them out with the recording at the same time so everyone can get it all at once. And then he doesn't have to frantically go look it up.
For sure.
Idea. In a kind of a less comprehensive, but more, I don't know, hit or miss maybe kind of way, but quite a few hits is to subscribe to Taproot. So it's free to read everything that Taproot publishes. We publish at least a story a day, or often about local businesses. One of the gaps that we are here to fill is the kind of diminishing amount of coverage of local business. We like to do that. We know our audience likes us to do that. So you can find out about interesting businesses like Xylotex we wrote about this week, which is a business that is figured out how to turn hemp fiber into something that's a little bit more like cotton. And that's a shop local story for sure, because we can't grow cotton in Alberta, but we can grow hemp really fast and in really long fibers because of our long summer days, summer nights. And so the hemp can grow, you can almost watch it grow. And that makes it very useful for this kind of fiber that they make. So anyway, we write stories about that. We also publish a business roundup newsletter that pays attention to a lot of local small and medium-sized businesses and startups. Our food roundup is almost exclusively about local food businesses, restaurants, agribusiness, agritourism, those kinds of things. And our tech roundup pays attention to local tech and innovations. So those are all things that you can find at taprootedmonton.ca and read for free and soak up what's going on locally.
Lovely, thank you. There's a question that came in that I might need some clarification on, but it's how do you know if the small businesses on Amazon or even in regular retail stores are getting their profits for what consumers are purchasing? Do you mean, are they like making money off of the local products in their space? I'm not quite sure what you mean by getting their profits from what consumers are purchasing. And then can you elaborate for first-time non-local shoppers on where to start? I think those links that we'll get from Nolan, and if Karen has any to add that I send out later, is probably a great starting point, and I'll put those when I have the recording. But if you could clarify what you mean by getting their profits by what consumers are purchasing, I would be very happy to figure out who to ask.
While you're clarifying that, Victoria, I'll just, something that Nolan said made me think about how we get our information these days. So there was a time when it was pretty useful and easy to be able to curate your feed on social media so that it could be So you're just seeing what you wanted to see. And if what you wanted to see was local, it would be local. And that's a thing that I have done for a long time because I just care about local. I don't care about anything else. I don't follow anything else except things that are happening in Edmonton. And I noticed that well, I can't be on X anymore. I'm not there at all on Twitter, X Twitter, but on Instagram and Facebook, more and more, no matter what I do, I am getting pushed things that are not local. They've moved their kind of business model and their feed model to be, I think, to compete more with TikTok, which you can't, you get fed what it detects you are interested in. And so that's really makes it harder for someone to discover, even if they're trying really hard to pay attention to local, because they just get shoved this other stuff at them. And so we have to find different ways than we did for that brief moment when social media was actually useful. And I'm going to say that it's much less so now.
I'm going to come back to Alice later. When we get to our Q&A, I'll let you unmute and ask your question out loud. I'm just going to wait for us to get through everything we have planned first. So I will come back to you, Alice. Thank you. Part of what we talked about kind of before were those things preventing us from shopping locally, cost being one of them, of course. And then we talked about ease. And something that we've mentioned is like that idea that, oh, well, we're taking on a little bit more of the work to make shopping local happen. But do we know about any initiatives for making shopping local easier? Because there's this trap of like ease and comfort in shopping from your couch. It's so easy. So do we know anything that's being kind of done to I don't know, bridge that gap? If even if it's convincing people that maybe they don't want shopping to be so easy, I'm kind of open to wherever that might go.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say, that's part of the reason why we started our campaign was to just kind of, if you're, I think Karen, like you mentioned, if you're getting fed things on your feed that, aren't really pertaining to like your interests or able to be curated, we can at least jump in there and say like, hey, remember to shop locally, right? And that sort of thing. So I think that's one reason why we did it. Without trying to like pump my own tires too much, though, I think I'll chat about a few other things I've seen too. So uh, what we've heard from our business community is that incentives work really well. And so we've seen that happen a few times. So like the Downtown Business Association, they have like a shop downtown card. Alberta Avenue, they also have like a shopping pass, they call it. And so they actually give you like an extra 25% bonus on every dollar you put into those. So like some incentives like that, help you to stretch your dollar further or maybe bridge that local premium a little bit, I think are definitely helpful. And I think as well, just, having those like cool, interesting locations where you have lots of businesses is a good reason as well to get out because you're not just, going on a 10-minute drive just to see one shop, but you actually have an opportunity to check out a bunch. And there's quite a few events and that sort of thing that are planned around our main streets as well, like farmers markets or concerts, different festivals and that sort of thing too. And I think those are kind of ways that we can help get people out of their homes and kind of make shopping easier because you're going there to be entertained, but you can also pick up a few things on your way as well. So I might offer that up. It's not like exactly what you're going for. I don't think Victoria like a cooperative that it's making it easy to do deliveries or anything like that. But those are just a few of the things I'm aware of there.
Yeah, we've done some stories and paid attention to some attempts at getting like to make it easy to kind of have a farmer's market online so you don't necessarily have to like get yourself to the old Strathcona farmer's market or Bountiful or whatever. And it just takes a lot of marketing to get that in front of people because it's easy to know about Instacart or what all the other ways that you can get food. And now everybody delivers groceries, apparently. I learn when I watch the hockey game and see the commercials over and over again. So like those local efforts to make it easy for people to buy online, even from local producers, they're up against like a lot of marketing spend from those big guys. And so if we want it, we do have to kind of figure out a way to um, get in there a little bit to dig a little bit deeper to find them. I think there might be also an opportunity for um, like those entities in our city that have spending power to help those kinds of businesses a little bit more. It's great to have a shop local campaign to equip people to make that to have that get that message out there, but then maybe there's new and creative ways for the city government to like actually boost those folks, right? To spend a little bit more on those on the kinds of businesses that are doing um, that kind of business that leaves more money here.
Sounds like you might have a few ideas, Karen.
Well, I do. Let me tell, if I may, let me explain it from the point of view of my business, for example. So all governments have a marketing spend, right? And you kind of mentioned some of the ways that you're getting the message out about shop local. Well, wouldn't it be interesting if some of the money that is going to California via Facebook and Google was also staying at places like Taproot and CKUA and Edify and the Boyle Macaulay News and all these local entities that who pay people here and who pay attention to this city. Um, that can be a way of shopping local as well.
Of course, no, really good points. And we actually, I'm happy to announce we do work through local companies to purchase our advertising, and also for all of our media kits. They're all designed, produced, printed locally as well. So, yeah, that's very near and dear to us as well. We made sure that okay, if we're spending money, we're making sure it's going to go to support some local businesses here too. So.
Yeah. But by the same token, like kind of connecting to what you were saying, Victoria, about if it costs more to shop local and you're the steward of the taxpayers' dollars, you have to that's kind of a bind, right? To justify paying more for something when people want you to maximize how you're using your limited resources that come from us. So it's a challenge.
Of course, yeah, it's all a balancing act, right? And you got to balance maximizing getting the word out there, so that you actually have, we'll say 14 million impressions, right, from our online. What percentage of that do you think actually changed their behavior last year? So it's really, like we say, it's a tough balancing act, and we want to make sure that whatever we do have an impact at the end of the day, that we're able to measure that impact as well. And so, yeah, as much as we can, our dollars do try and stay local. We have a sustainable procurement policy as well. You may or may not be aware of that, but there's a lot of guidelines in place. So, being a government entity, we are restricted to our trade agreements. And so anything over $75,000 for goods or services has to be tendered, and anybody across North America can put a bid in for that. And so what our sustainable procurement policy does is it encourages anything under $75,000 to have the business unit in the city, for example, seek out three quotes from local businesses, and specifically local businesses, to make sure that they're competitive in that way. And so I think the figure from last year in 2024, we had, I have it right in front of me here somewhere, a little over $30 million just through those guidelines alone, of an impact. And so, when you think of the city, we have, a several $billion budget. Um, as much of that money as we can to get it recirculating in the economy. I think, as you're saying, being a steward of taxpayer dollars is definitely in our interest, and we're doing all the things that we can in our power within these trade agreements that we work within as well to make that happen.
Thank you. Thank you both. That's great. Do either of you have final thoughts before I open it up? I like to give time for everybody who's so excited to be here to kind of voice their questions. But before we do that, any final big things you want to share on this topic that you feel like haven't been touched on and that we've missed a little bit?
I think it's pretty covered. I'd like to ask or answer any questions that come up.
Excellent. So I am going to let Alice unmute so that she could ask her question out loud.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, Alice.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for doing this and thank you to the speakers for coming too. So I have two-part question. Oh, where did they go? Oh no. Um, I forgot what I wrote. Okay, so what I was asking, so when as a consumer myself, shopping for like Amazon or those other big retailers, because sometimes um those retailers and also on Amazon, there's sometimes it says small businesses. So I always I feel apprehensive sometimes and unsure if it's even worth it to support them. Um and also even though it doesn't say small businesses, but in the in the description, it says that there are businesses, but they're not local, but they're from Canada. So like trying to support that instead of supporting like, I don't know, an American company that's very high profit and things, instead of supporting the local ones in Canada, not just in Alberta. So my question is like, do they get the profit or like, is it even worth it for myself to purchase those things? So for example, I have two kids, they have different sizes of shoes. So I was looking for boots and it took me like 2 weeks to decide what kind of boots. So every time I go to this description of companies, businesses, most of them, it doesn't even show small businesses. It just say it's a business. But then they bring the they ship the item to my house and I'm like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. And then I'm like, oh, I like that one. And then maybe 2, 3 months later, I found a different one. I'm like, interesting. I never heard of this one. And I'm like, so my question is like, for someone like me, is it even worth it to go back and do my due diligence, also trying to be supportive, but also knowing that I'm actually supporting them, but also them too gaining whatever, not just myself, but other people who are buying. Like, do they get any profits for like Amazon or like Superstore or Walmart or I don't know, Canadian Tire? Because even when I go in person for like those big retailers, they have also some small businesses items that I'm looking for, like a candle or like, I don't know, a curtain because now that it's summer and it's bright in the house all the time. So I'm like, okay, I don't want the Walmart brand. I want a local brand, but also that won't cost me, you know? Yeah. So it's so hard because I'm like, I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing, right?
Mm.
Because also that's one of my things back in my mind, like being mindful, right? Trying to support local, but also when I'm trying to go in person, but I don't know where those local businesses are. Like I'm very clueless, like being in this country and this city for almost 20 years or so. I don't even know where to start. Like they say, oh, go to flea market. I'm like, flea market? Like it's easier said than that because I'm like, okay, if you go to flea market, who are you going to support? BC Fruits? Who are you going to support? The Boca farmers, Bounty farmers, something? People, I don't know. It's just so hard because that's why I don't get it. I don't get it. And I feel so clueless to say that, like, as an adult, as a parent, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, is it even worth it to support the BC fruit people business, right? So, or might as well support Superstore, right? because it's the easy way out, right? Because I'm like, I'm not gonna go to those flea markets, spend 2 hours, and I don't even know what I'm getting. I don't even know if like those stuff are good. I don't even know if those stores are real. I don't even know what they do and who they are, and because those are important to me, right? So you're gonna tell me Bountiful Farmers Market. I have nothing against them. I never heard of them. But then I'm like, what is all the hype about them? I never, not that I don't trust them, it's just I don't know what they do. I don't know what's the purpose of them being there, right? Again, I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong. That's why I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know where to start. Like seriously, I don't know. I really want to, and I've been trying to, but I don't know. I just felt so clueless that I'm like, it's not even worth it to go to those marketplace or bountiful place thing too. So yeah.
So I
Or
think
any
just the
other place
first,
on White Up that Nolan was talking about, right? So
yeah. So I think that
it's
first
so
part of your
much because it's so
question,
broader, right? Because
yeah,
like you're
Alex, I think
gonna
that
tell me shop local. Where am
Alex,
I gonna shop local?
I just want to give them a chance to answer. So I know that first question
Yeah.
that you asked was kind of around Amazon and when they mark something as a local business. Do you know anything about that, Nolan, as to if it's a small business? It may not be local, right? It might just be like a smaller business that's been tagged with that.
Yeah, it's really hard to say unless you have the capability to follow the money, which I don't think any of us really do. You'll never know definitively. I will say, those online marketplaces are a great place for somebody who's just beginning an entrepreneurial career. Might start out because it's really low overhead to get into it. It's very similar to the Best Buy marketplace. It's kind of just like an online version too, in some ways, of like a farmer's market or something like that, or a flea market where you can have vendors kind of come and set up shop for a nominal fee and do that. But again, with that happening, it could either be a portion of their revenue has to go to cover that fee, or a portion of their sales goes back to that company as well. And so it likely doesn't have that same multiplier effect that Karen was mentioning earlier. Whereas if you went to like an independently owned business on a main street in Edmonton would have.
Yeah, and then as far as where to start, I agree. It can be very confusing. I think those 50 businesses who signed up for Shop Local, I think reading Taproot, I think tuning in to kind of local radio stations can be helpful because, as Karen kind of mentioned, I think local people are more likely to advertise through local means. And I will get some links from Nolan afterwards, which I will gladly share out to everybody. So hopefully that's kind of a good stepping stone. And then being able to, over time, get to know businesses. And the best thing about a farmer's market is you're talking to people who know their product. So getting to like build those connections and build that community and ask questions about where things are from and what might make sense. We also had a wonderful comment about Alberta Open Farm Days, which is a great way to learn about local food producers. So that could be a really cool place to start. And that's in August. Do we have any other questions, ideas, thoughts?
Okay, if I could just add one more thing about if you see something that's from a local producer, like an Alberta producer in a grocery store, and you're at all intrigued, it would be great to buy that because it's really hard for those folks to get shelf space. And it's by the same token, like the grocery stores do see the value of making some space available to local producers, but it's if you buy that product, you are signaling to to Superstore or whoever that there's a market for this, and that will help that local producer build their business and get um, and continue to be able to grow and do even more.
Thank you so much, Karen. That's very true. I appreciate that. I will make us sit in silence to ensure that there are no other questions. Oh, Also, to Karen's comment, yeah, letting the store know that you like the product.
Mhm.
Exactly. That's that kind of you're buying it, and therefore they'll want to replace it with more of what you're buying. And if you're buying local products, they're going to want to spend more money on local products. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so shopping locally can be really good for the environment, but sometimes we have to drive a fair distance across the city. What would you advise about that? I feel this, Stephanie, so difficultly because I don't drive. And
Mhm.
sometimes I want to engage with something and transit is not, I'm from a bigger city than Edmonton, so transit is not what I'm used to. Um, but I love that question. What uh, what do you advise? I know Nolan, you kind of talked about kind of pairing things together. So maybe we're not making a trip out for one item. We're trying to like build a list up first before making that trip out. But I would love to hear any advice either of you have.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, definitely. If you can hit multiple locations on your way, you can, kind of spread out those like product miles or food miles. I think is talked a lot when we talk about, impacts, environmental impacts of shopping locally and that sort of thing. Um, Check out some of the city's bike lanes as well. They go by lots of shops, and so if you're a cyclist, I'm a cyclist actually. I do bike to work every day. I have the opportunity to do that. I live close enough, and can bear the cold weather well enough in the winter as well. And yeah, I'm very frequently stopping in for a bagel and a coffee on my way into work because there's a coffee shop right along the bike lane there. So that's a great way to explore it as well. Um, yeah, trying to think of other ways to avoid it. Victoria, you mentioned transit. It is an option. It is an option. Yeah.
Yeah, we have such a big spread out city that you can actually like go on quite a little adventure to a part of the city that it feels like going to a different city. So for Christmas, my daughter bought me high tea at the Old Beverly Cafe. I never go to Beverly. I did, but she chose that place partly because it was quite reasonably priced, and because her place and my place are both on the number 8 bus route, and neither of us has car. And so it was, it was a bit of a ride up there from central Edmonton. But we got to see a different part of the city that we never go to. And we had high tea at the cafe. It was lovely. And then we went to a little secondhand shop and she bought some funky sunglasses. And then we came back downtown and went to the art gallery. It was a lovely day. And so it is. Like it depends. Are you going like grocery shopping? You got to get this done, and because before you pick up the kids, like give yourself some grace. Just do what makes sense for you. But if you have some leisure time, there's lots of ways that you can go exploring in your old city and find new places to spend your money and get a new experience without even leaving Edmonton.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Karen. And I might mention too, it's not very much of a short-term solution, but more of a long-term. But get involved with city planning as well. A lot of the time, there's many engagement opportunities, and it's really important that city planners hear your voice. If you say yes, I would love some new commercial properties to come up near my house. I know we hear a lot that can cause disruption and that sort of thing, but I think it's very important as well that folks hear that they don't want to have to drive across the city to find a new business that they want to check out or something like that. And so if you have these things closer to your house, then the chances are if you needed to drive there or have to make big plans, like new bus route or something like that to get out there, just makes it that much easier for you in the long run.
Thank you. Those are both great ideas. We also got a question from Cheryl about if either of you know of any apps that tell you if a product is local from Edmonton, or if you know of any apps kind of that do that. I've heard of a number of them. I haven't used any of them personally, so I wouldn't be able to like speak to it. But do either of you know?
There's a couple of apps that will at least help you detect whether something is made in Canada. I don't know if they will go as granularly as Edmonton, but I'm just gonna find the story that we wrote about this and
Yeah, I was gonna say, Karen, I thought I read that on Taproot about 2 apps.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Punch Card Systems, and then there was another business that's made in um, also it's at the bottom of the story. So in that story that I've just put in the chat, it talks about how to detect localness. Yeah, well, you keep going. I have another idea of something else that might help you out, Cheryl.
Yeah, I think there's also we're seeing a lot more labeling now as well, so you can take a look for that. Again, it'll just tell you if it's Canadian or not. And the province also rolled out a buy local initiative as well, and it seems to be targeted mainly towards like food products that are produced in Alberta. And so they have a special labeling program for that. I don't know if they have like a list or a directory on their website. I think they're still early days, so maybe there's more to come there.
Thank you. What was that second idea you had, Karen?
Uh, I'm just looking it up, yeah, because I can't remember the name of it, but there's a local I'll find it. I'll put it in the thing. It's
Perfect.
a local website for making it easy for everybody to buy from local farmers.
Excellent. We did have a question if the Buy Local initiative has a Facebook page. Are you on social media, Nolan?
We don't have a Facebook page, but we do have a hashtag. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but if you check out edmonton.ca/shop local, I can put it in the chat here. We'll have it up there as well. So last year we actually ran like a contest where if you could tag your favorite business with that hashtag, there's a prize that you could win and that sort of thing. So definitely encourage people to use that. Or if you see, if you went to an awesome cafe or a really cool business that you love to go check out, share it on your social feed with that hashtag as well, and that'll help to get the word out.
Thank you. We also have Stephanie, who just mentioned that she loves the idea of buying local, including for environmental reasons. So she takes her own bags and containers in order to reduce waste. Love that. I respect that. Get that donut straight into a Tupperware. That is my that is my go-to.
Another thing, I can't find the thing, so maybe she's not doing it anymore, but um, another fun thing on the Shop Local front is happening this weekend is the Edmonton Indie Bookstore Extravaganza. So it's a thing I think that started last week or last year and is expanded this year. And it's just like a book crawl. It's like all the local bookstores that are participating. There's about a dozen of them that are just encouraging people to come and patronize their shelves and buy books from them, and there'll be lots of local authors in there, but also authors from all over the place. I am planning on spending more money than I have and to go and support that and I think that's a great way of exploring and like all of these bookstores are close to other small businesses, and so I imagine that there will be kind of a radiation or like a radiating out of goodness from that.
A couple things came in at once. Cheryl shared a link to the Yay Indie Bookstores WordPress. So I assume that is our book crawl, which is excellent. So I encourage somebody to take on the planning to do a book crawl, pub crawl,
Yeah.
single event where I'm allowed by the city to walk around with my pint as I shop for books. Just saying, Nolan, I don't know how much pull you have, but that is what I want personally. And then Marcia mentioned there's an Alberta food processors directory as well, which she's linked in. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you, thank you.
Also, craft beer is another kind of local type of business that I don't drink beer, so I just take people's word for it that it's better and more interesting than Molson or Labatt or Budweiser or whatever. And so I think that's another kind of industry that if you can support that has all those same kinds of multiplier effects we were talking about before.
And environmentally, you can
Totally.
get like growlers and refill them. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
and
then
actually, it's a really good point because yeah, I have quite a few breweries that have opened up in the city, even like
mhm.
Odd Company Brewing. Uh, oh, I'm totally missing the name of it right now, but in Manchester Square, Arcadia, I believe.
Arcadia,
You've been
yeah,
there? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, they're awesome. Really, really cool shop too. Like I love just how it's all done up. It looks awesome. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun, and a lot of liquor stores now too actually have like a local shelf now as well. So it's really cool to check that out as well.
Yeah, there seems to also be like a lot of local distilleries. So there's Rig Hand Distilling south of the city, Anoka out west of here. Again, I don't drink, so I don't know if any of this stuff is any good, but I feel like there's a critical mass of people that are interested in um like kind of local tastes, and they often use local ingredients. Another one is Field Notes from Faiza Ramji, who has like a, a liqueur that's made out of peas, like field peas, and then another one that's made it's a Jaya chai liqueur, so it's like has the like tea kind of notes in it. So lots of ingenuity and unusual things, and these folks need local support to be able to grow, but they also export to the world. And that's like a good way of bringing money from outside of Edmonton back into Edmonton.
Yeah, very, very true.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions for us? I give it a minute or so in case someone's, you know, furiously typing. They've got a big thought to share.
Alice asks if we could share what local businesses we shop at, and that just, I don't know why it sparked this, but we also have like a huge amount of local ice cream shops in Edmonton, and what a delightful and yummy way of shopping local. So I live over behind the brewery district, so close to kind of on the edge of between Queen Mary Park and Wigwentowin. And within walking distance of my house, there's like at least four artisanal ice cream shops. So that's a fun way and again, they're not just strawberry chocolate and vanilla. It's like all kinds of interesting flavors, haskap and rhubarb and like local ingredients and it's like ice cream. It's good.
And if you get it in a cone, no waste. Because
That's
you
right.
forgot.
Very true. Yeah, there's White Rabbit. They opened up just kind of northwest of downtown. Super, super
Mhm.
good. Kind ice cream on White Ave. I used to live on White Ave, so I know a lot of White Ave shops I still go to. I used to shop at Jazel, or I still do shop at Jazel Menswear on White Ave a lot too. So if you need some new jeans or some really nice clothes, definitely check those guys out. My favorite sushi place is locally owned, Tokyo Noodle House on White Ave. You gotta go, gotta try it. I asked somebody who used to live in Japan, to take a look at their menu, tell me if it was legit, and he said looks very authentic, and yeah, we used to go there all the time because it was so close by. So definitely check them out. Yeah, and then also for groceries too. So I live pretty close to Loca. They just opened up on the west side of the city here, and so they're locally owned. And they carry a lot of local products as well. So if you're thinking about groceries that are locally owned that source a lot of their food products within Alberta, especially, check out Loca, Freeze Burrows as well. I believe they do source a lot locally and are also locally owned.
Thank you. Stephanie has a question that's quite specific, but honestly, Stephanie, I've also had this question, which is there anywhere in Edmonton where you can buy things like olive oil or mustard or pickles and similar items where you bring your own jars in, like Bulk Barn? I swear I've written to Bulk Barn so many times asking them to please sell olive oil. It would change my life. But does anybody have that specific information? Does anybody know? Use the hive mind.
Does
Well,
Evolution let you do olive oil in bulk? Or I
maybe.
can't remember if I
Yeah.
haven't been there for a while.
Yeah. It'd be worth asking. Evolution, Evolution. Earth's General Store used to do things like that, but they closed. But the folks from Earth's General Store are opening a refillery, or may have already. I'm not sure if that's food refillery or more other kinds of things. Over near in Manchester Square, Carbon Boutique, I think it's called. So what it's called? It lets you buy bulk like laundry detergent and shampoo and conditioner and that kind of thing. So you bring your own container and then they just weigh it and pay you for that. So that's a way of having less waste. I don't know about food. Yeah, food safety could be a thing.
Yeah, I know that when I go to Bulk Barn with my jars, they will like check inside every cap to make sure that I've provided clean, rustless jars. Final questions for our panelists. Oh, and Community Natural gives 15% off on Sundays for refills. That's great to
Oh,
know.
that's good to know.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Karen, Nolan, for joining us. Thank you to everybody who came this evening and participated in this wonderful discussion. I think this has been a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful that everyone came out. I want to give Karen and Nolan a final, I'm getting thank yous. Thank you guys so much. I want to give them a final moment to shout out anything they want to shout out. Karen, you want to send us off, and then I'll see if no one wants to shout anything out.
Oh, well, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a fun thing to talk about. And I will just say, read Taproot to know what else is going on locally. All of your, we only care about Edmonton. And I think that it's important to support media that cover stories that nobody else will, because nobody else would care about that stuff except people who live here. And then if you happen to have a business, consider us to advertise your business because we reach people who love local. We reach people, we did an audience survey and they told us that they're the kind of people that would pay more for a local happily. And so that seems like a good community of people to reach. Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Karen. Nolan, anything you want to plug before we say goodbye?
Oh, I feel like I've plugged so many things already. I don't want to be disingenuous, but no, I had a lot of fun tonight. Thanks so much for the discussion. I think it's a very important topic to chat about and make sure we're supporting those people who are investing in our city and in your community. So definitely get out there and vote with your dollars, so to speak. I think there's a lot of questions about how to even start shopping locally. I think the most important thing is just don't overthink it. Just see who's nearby you, see what they sell, and just go check them out in person. Check out many of our awesome main streets. You'll find something that you probably weren't even looking for, didn't know that you needed. And if you have any, friends who are business owners or know of any business owners that are looking for some help, we're a super business friendly team and we would love to hear from them. And so you can always reach out to our team. I'll shoot Victoria the link to that as well. And we're always happy to help with permit licensing, connecting to resources, all that sort of thing. We want to see our business owners thrive in the city. So yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, both of you, for coming. I really appreciate it. I will send out all the links that I have and ideally the recording as soon as I get it. So thank you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And I'm very grateful that you've chosen to spend your evening with the library and our excellent panelists. So thank you so much. Good night.